Weather is your Hurricane HQ. The National Hurricane Center officially designating Invest 91L in the Eastern Atlantic. Now, this forecast to grow into our next named storm, Gabrielle. 90% odds here. So I think it's safe to say in the next couple of days here, Kiana, we're going to check off that G-named storm.
Absolutely. And at the very minimum, maybe a depression that really gets going. So this is one that's worth watching. I think there's a lot of caveats that come at play for the long-term range. But at least for now, we know that here we are. We have a good-looking storm. It's trying to get itself together. Maybe it's battling a couple of things, but
it's been a
moving
slow road.
forward, it's going to be a slow roll.
You can see here maybe a bit better of a picture, right? Right about in here, right? There we go with our Invest 91L. So we have had, unfortunately, a little bit of dust, a little bit of wind shear that has disrupted at least the ability for this thing to tighten up and strengthen. It's still kind of chugging along on that path with a couple of roadblocks, but not to say that it wouldn't further intensify, I think, as we go through the next couple days.
For sure. And I think once it continues to move, maybe away from the Saharan dust, the southern half of this, you can see the thunderstorms really bubbling up. So there is moisture to play with. It's that northern half of it where we have the Saharan dust, a little bit of dry air that's making it a bit hard. So maybe if it stays on that southerly track, it's going to be something that's totally worth watching.
Which the southerly track has been interesting to watch how that has unfolded this week. Because I remember going over the weekend and we were talking about how there was a trough that was going to open up across the Atlantic and perhaps play a role in increasing not only wind shear, but perhaps tugging this thing a little north in latitude. And that really hadn't panned out. Yes, we still have some wind shear, but to see the southern push, any tropical wave that emerges further to the south and then stays south,
to the south,
is definitely something that we have to watch for.
Right, and right now it's right into that ITCZ zone. So we'll continue to watch. We take it all the way through the weekend. So that's what we mean when we say this is going to be, I love the term that I give it to you, slow burn.
Slow burn.
The slow burn term because, we really take this all the way through next Thursday where we finally start to see, okay, it's getting into a nice pocket, a conducive part of the atmosphere.
But you can still see, even with this atmospheric moisture with the model, look how it's still at least surrounded
by some dry air.
Doing a 180, right, where we have some dry air. So how strong is that system as it moves through the Caribbean islands? I think that's something that, quite honestly, models at this point in time, they've been flopping back and forth. There's really nothing to grab onto just yet. If you're with us yesterday, our exclusive Fox Weather product, I love this tropical threat probability because it encompasses everything that we talk about one-on-one. Now you just put it together.
And the models kind of take it from there.
Right, a one fell swoop of that medium odds now, which is up from yesterday on this product. So it tells you that models are in better agreement, that we're going to see something steadily kind of chug along on that southern track, especially as we head into next week.
Right, and then this is a combination of all of the models. You have, I think, the GFS, the Google AI, what's the other one?
The European model,
Euro.
too. Yep.
Yeah, so this is a good one to kind of take all of them into consideration, see how, they're kind of weaning with this, the Invest here that we're watching. And then from here, we'll have to watch for the Lesser Antilles, I think, going into next week for sure.
We showed this a lot this week, how the strength of the storm also impacts the path of the storm. So a stronger storm is going to feel the influence of the upstairs environment and want to curve faster, which is what we all would love to see, right? Because we want to see this thing go out to the open waters and have no impact to anybody.
Absolutely.
It seems as though, at least where we stand at this point in time, that we're probably going to be leaning towards that weaker storm, that more southerly track, a westward track, as opposed to seeing something turn a little farther to the north.
And what that means is you can see first in line would be the Lesser Antilles, some of those northern Caribbean islands that catch maybe the brunt of this. And it may come in the form of some heavier rain or some downpours. Because we're so far out, we can't really put a nail into what they'll be experiencing. But some tropical impacts are certainly heading their way if it stays on that more southerly and westerly track.
And I think this is interesting. I stopped it here. That upper trough that we keep talking about, because high pressure we know is going to be a permanent feature. Wherever that high sits is going to be a driving factor, right, when it comes to meandering these storms across the basin. But with a weaker storm, this key point here, unable to break down the trough. The trough sweeping in is a good thing because that's what's going to bring in a more hostile environment and then tug it up and away from any impact, perhaps closer to the Lesser Antilles or even speaking of the United States. But not being able to break that down, now we're talking an opportunity where it gets trapped underneath of it. But, you know, definitely something at this point in time, everything that we talk about happening going into the middle to later half of next week, we can't say with enough concrete certainty.
Right. And I think that's what makes it a bit tricky right now. I mean, if you're in the Lesser Antilles, if you're in, say, Barbados, out towards maybe St. Martin, St. Lucia, watch the forecast. Puerto Rico, watch the forecast over the weekend, really, to get a better gauge, because everything now is so up in the air until we can go ahead and put a name to this and talk about where it stands in terms of strengthening or even intensifying. So I think, you know, for now, we'll continue to watch it. I think if you're looking far out into next week and you're back here across the United States, maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, how does this
if you're in
impact
North Carolina, you're like, wait a second. We've got time, you know, and that's one of the best parts about a storm that comes out of the main development region is that you have plenty of time. And I would say if you're one of those folks who lives along the coast and you're getting a little nervous about this, we're headed into peak season, it's always best to just go over that checklist. Do I have what I need? Can I prepare quickly in a matter of 2 days in the event of? You know, that just always
use this
preparedness.
Time. It's idle time. Use it to prepare, like Jane said, and just have your plans in place. Make sure your family know your plan. You're sharing it with family members so that they know what to do. To that extent for now.
Yeah, I mean, look at all that uncertainty.
Yes, very, very
Any
spread
one
out
of
heading
those
into
storms
next weekend.
could be our Gabrielle, but hard to nail down exactly what that looks like. So we'll be watching, absolutely.